Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we're going to get what has become a very rare matchup here for Flash. He's going to be playing against Zerg, and this is going to be MadYellOw up here in the top right. I definitely have done some casts of MadYellOw in the past, but if you don't know who he is, he's one of the strongest amateur Zergs. I would put him a step below HM, but still very, very good. And maybe a little bit more on the aggressive side than someone like that. But not as aggressive as like a Zealot or something like that. So yeah, MadYellOw, definitely someone that you might see in the future popping into ASLs and whatnot. Yeah, a lot of people have actually been like, why is there so much TVP going on with this, right? And the truth of the matter is that like most players on the ladder are Protoss. So it's, you know, there's just like a lot of Protoss games. And there just haven't been that many Zerg games, honestly. I don't know. The top Zergs don't seem to play the ladder as much as the top Terrans and Protosses as well. Not exactly sure why that is, because honestly, right now in the pro scene, Zerg is the most successful race. Like Zerg has been pretty much dominating most of the seasons and everything, like Hero and Sulky and all that. But they just don't play ladder as much as some of these other top guys. Yeah, I don't really have an answer for that one, but it is what it is, and we're on retro, and we're gonna have a TVZ, so I'm excited about that. Hope that you guys are going to enjoy. We can see that MadYellOw has gone for a hatchery first, scouting from Flash in the wrong direction here. That's generally how you're going to go ahead and scout. You kind of want to scout on most maps in the direction of the expansion, because the Overlord generally comes towards the ledge of the expansion, as you can see that he's doing here. So when you get here and he's not here, and there's no Overlord popping out, most likely he's up here, but there has to be some randomization in scout patterns, so you need to check both, and this is generally how you do it. You send a second SCV to line up with this one. It's generally the SCV that finishes the barracks, but you can toy with that a little bit, and that's going to let him see both the bases and decide if he wants a command center right away, right? You see this finish, you're like, oh, it's not a Zergling rush, we can make the command center right now, and in fact, you see Flash has canceled the Marine to be able to do that. Yeah. So there we go. We'll see how Flash wants to handle what looks like a very standard 2-hatch. It's a very quick layer at 251. So that is about as quick a layer as you're going to get without going 12 pool. Now, Flash going to try to keep that SCV alive. He actually, okay, he turned this one around. This was actually something I was kind of watching, right? This one came back through the center, came all the way back down here, and then went back out. Flash right now is a big proponent of a secondary scout, and he's the only pro Terran that I see consistently doing this. And he actually, when he got out of the military, he had a brief period where he was laddering, and he started doing this. And I actually really, really like this, because basically this Overlord that pops, normally the Lings can kill your SCV before this is done, or right around the time this is done. But this Overlord is what you make the Lings after this Overlord pops out. So he always brings his SCV in to check are drones hatching or are Lings hatching, because you have to take mass speedling like really super seriously. You know, that it can kill absolutely anyone. Now he comes back down here and he's seeing drones hatching all over the place, so he knows he doesn't even need a bunker at this point, and he can just optimize his build elsewhere. And you can see it's actually a very late academy as far as academies go, but that's okay. I think we'll see him move out with the Marines. Okay, so he's just pushing 3. He's actually maybe keeping these back for another Ling running in? No, okay. So he's pushing everything away with 3 and then following further behind. This is probably planned from Flash, where he only wants his opponent to see 3 Marines so that he has more potential for damage. So he's coming up here, and he's going to hit before this is done. So this is actually going to be a very good pressure play. This is exactly the type of plays that Flash has been liking as opposed to Academy Rush. And as soon as you force a sunken, you're very happy with your position, okay? So there's been a history in Terran vs. Zerg where everyone was going 2 racks Academy, and basically what it would do, if you recall that metagame, I've casted countless games of it on this channel, You push out with the Marine Medic, and it forces 2 sunken colonies because you will hit before the mutas. Now, every Zerg started doing speedling counterattacks against that, and it generally ends up in Zerg's favor. So that build mostly went away, which means no pressure on Zerg. So this is the way that Flash has done it. He uses the second SCV scout to confirm no lings. If there are no lings, he sends his Marines out to force a sunken. He also, through doing this, gets later comsat, and, you know, like, it's more Marine heavy, a little bit more mineral heavy as well, this build. So, like, very, very good economy and all that. Woo! Doesn't quite get it there. Anyways, this is actually something that I've been using in my own play for over a year now, and it's very good, I think. If you can do it just right, you kind of are dictating a couple early portions of the game, which is not something Terran gets to do with every build. So a couple mutas come in, and they do delay that turret. That's a little bit annoying. One turret over here. We don't see any turrets in this little pocket. We have seen Flash occasionally in his TVZs just zone. But if mutas get back here, if you look at this area, this is 1 Marine thick, and this is 1 Marine thick. Well, this is closer to 2, but you're not realistically going to get 2 to walk through there. So if the mutas get down here, it's deadly. And he knows this, so he's just going to fly in and fly by. So this could be a problem for Flash, right? Okay, he's moving through. You can see how he just doesn't have that many Marines. And a lot of SCVs go down. What do you get? 4 SCVs there? 5 SCVs there for a little bit of muta damage? Really, really good. Third turret going up at the natural. Let's take a look at MadYellow's base. A scan goes down. He's just trying to catch what's actually hatching out of the eggs. Don't know if he'll catch it this particular time. But muta and drone coming. Third base going up here in the top left. And Flash just continuing to zone, staying on that 2 barracks play, which is kind of becoming standard in this matchup. The mutas have just become too good. 3 racks doesn't do anything anymore. So most people have reverted to... Well, I don't know if you should call it reverted, because this is kind of a newer thing. But a lot of players, it's like you're either going +1, 4, or 5 racks, or you're going like 2 racks tech. And generally you'll see like another racks added very, very soon here. But you just got to make sure that you can afford the turrets that you need. It's like Flash does have a little bit of a stuck SV. That might actually be for repair on that turret, but you can put it on the gas to pop it out. Yeah, it looks like he'll do that. Couple SCVs coming up to that main, and yeah, there's a third racks. Double starport being made. MadYellOw going to come in and start killing some of these turrets off. No real chance for the turrets, but it does buy time for the Marines to come down and support. MadYellOw really with no losses so far. He's not super high in that drone count, and Flash has been on top of producing his SCVs. You can see he actually slowed the third barracks ad to get those SCVs out, which I think is actually, this is very, very important for Terran players, is to not make more barracks than you can support at a given time. Like, once your tech starts again, you really need to be making SCVs, and that's something I feel like Flash does better than everyone right now. Adding just exactly what he can afford at a given time so he can keep that SCV count high, right? He was at 33 after the muta dive-in, and now he's at 48 already, right? Not as much production, but that's okay. You don't necessarily need a lot of production, because honestly, the busts don't really work anymore. Like, it's very rare to see a Terran walk across the map at high levels and actually kill a base. It happens, of course. People make mistakes, but like, I would be super surprised if Flash kills this, right? He's got 2 lurkers on the way. He's got a sunk on the way. He's got his mutas in position. And these couple groups of Marines should not be able to do that. Now, looking back at MadYellow's base, has that hive up with very good time. Defiler mound on the way. Evolution chamber is done here as well. So should be feeling pretty good about all that. Double science vessel being made by Flash. Kind of an interesting location to put some units down. Huh. That could be looking for like a counterattack that would go through here or something, but I don't think that would be something MadYellOw wants to do. Like, it's not time for a move like that. Like, right now is when he's building his tech and making sure he has the drone counts that he wants so he can get into his 4th base. Okay, so multiple vessels coming out. Some Scourge come down to try to make sure the vessels can't just do what they want here. The mutas fly to this little pocket again, and this is like a very dangerous area to have mutalisks, but it seems like MadYellOw is giving a lot of respect to Flash and backing out of there quickly. Obviously, if you get some irradiates back there, it's going to be very painful on the mutas. And he actually sends some Marines up to try to catch the retreating mutas. Doesn't quite work. MadYellOw 2 on top of things. By the way, one of those groups came back and is covering a very fast third base. Dude, off of 3 racks. All right, guys, I'm sorry I got to say it. Getting minor chills here. Like, he's definitely playing it different from everyone else, right? You can't really find a Terran that doesn't go 5 racks before the third base right now. It's just so, like, you get up to 5 racks, you have 2-1 going, you have science vessels going on SK Terran styles, and then you get into it. But actually, okay, this is going to be a mech switch, so that's exactly why he's doing this. Now it makes sense. That's why it didn't look like other people's. If this had gone into SK Terran, this would have been like, okay, we have a completely new idea going on. But this makes more sense now. So basically, when you're playing a mech switch, and this is an older looking mech switch than what Flash has been using recently, and I'll talk about that in a second, but like when you're doing a mech switch, the speed and number of expansions matters a lot. You actually want 4 bases very, very quickly. Notice an SCV is coming down here. I think he wants to expand here, and probably will send some bioforces. Yeah, there's a Zergling there, so he's going to have to run out of there. And left just a couple Marines there. That actually did a lot to sway those mutas away. But here comes this bioforce, right? So this is... Oh, the medic's going to follow that. That's annoying. This is going to be the 4th base he's taken. And again, this is like really, really important that if you're going mech, you need to go to 4 bases quickly. It's one of the main tenets of the mech build because you have to keep pressure on. You cannot play any turtle mech against Zerg because they just go queens and kill you. So you have to be putting that pressure on. So he's got the 4 science vessels. He's going to be putting pressure on. Notice where he's standing units. He's got these to catch a counterattack. He's floating his barracks, of course, to kind of see where units are coming in. He's got a few units here to make sure this base can't be attacked. And it looks like that SCV did end up going down here. And he's burrowed a Zergling. So very annoying. He's denying that 4th base. MadYellOw is very aware of what he needs to do here. And he's doing it really, really well. Dude, 4 add-ons that quickly? Really? So, and I was talking before how this is different from the mech switch that Flash has been using. So he's been using mech builds, right? So a lot of you might remember some of these like Goliath heavy mech builds that we've seen from Flash recently. Obviously a mech switch is different. You open looking SK Terran. The one that he's been doing recently that I really, really like is a 1 factory, 1 starport version. This is kind of an older school one, but it's still not the same as the very old one people remember where he would go like 5 racks plus 1 pressure into a mech switch. This was a much quicker 3 racks, but it was 2 starport, and of course he is getting those 1-1 upgrades that he always likes with his mech switches. So it keeps his bio in the game and powerful for longer. Now the vessel's coming down, and he's going to go ahead and just absolutely destroy all these mutas. Looks like maybe one gets away. If you look at what MadYellOw is doing here, he's getting ultralisk upgrades. He's getting drop and speed upgrades right now. And hydralisk upgrades, all that. So it seems like he's got a very good idea of what's going on and what he wants to do against it. And in fact, that is Defiler energy coming up. So like Defilers, Hydras, he's going to have Ultras. Those can be useful in drops. Generally, Ultras, unless you're really far ahead, aren't that good against Mech, because Mech doesn't really care about their armor bonuses. So a lot of Vultures are out. One thing that's really fascinating to me here is the fact that he has 4 add-on siege tanks this quickly. Now, one thing while we slow this down, and that's Queen energy right there, by the way. So he is MadYellOw is getting ready to maybe try Queens. It's smart for him to kind of wait for Queen energy, because 150 mana, like, Flash will probably kill you in the time that you're waiting. So to prep it and then be able to hit it more tightly, I think is very, very smart. So one thing that a couple people have been asking, they're saying, oh, you know, Flash has had wrist injuries in the past. Is this maybe why he's trying to go mech against Zerg? It's a good question. Obviously, I don't know the exact answer to that. Flash did have wrist problems in the past. He's got a giant scar down his arm where they've repaired him. But generally, it seems like he's done pretty well with it. We have had that happen before. MVP in StarCraft 2, before his pro career was over, he was having so many wrist issues, he just made mech builds against Zerg, right? Because the fastest that you have to go mechanically in StarCraft, in any RTS, in literally any game ever, is SK Terran in Terran vs. Zerg. It just, the speed required is actually beyond what humans can do. So whatever speed you can put out, you need to put out to play your best. Like, literally, we have no one that even comes close to playing SK Terran in a perfect way. Whereas other strats, it's like, okay, you can see games where it's like, damn, they're doing everything they need to do. So, yeah, it is a possibility, but also, right now, in the metagame, that's fantastic. He picked off that Defiler and got away. He was trying to plague that. But, yeah, right now, in the metagame, Terrans feel like Zerg is completely unkillable when they go SK Terran. Okay, so whether Flash is doing it for the reason of his wrists or not, this is an alternative to the infinity lockdown that every Zerg is doing right now with Defilers, where you just cannot kill anything. Wow, that mine actually destroyed this position. So, yeah, I think this is a worthwhile thing, whether it's wrist dependent or not. It could be a little bit of both. He might think that this is the best way to do it right now. But certainly, right? Like, you can see that these Darkstorm positions, as soon as these go up, SK Terran has to back out. A little bit of sloppiness here, but yeah. 5th base is up for Flash. He's adding a bunch of factories over here. He's keeping max supply. MadYellOw right now has a lot of hatcheries. I know it says 193 to 107. The game is definitely not over yet. You know, MadYellOw is being a little bit wasteful, and he definitely doesn't have a whole lot, but he has some very good tools. He's actually getting even Overlord vision range right now. But we might see something like a massive drop. If he can get a massive drop into either main base, that could bring him back into the game. You can stall out for a very long time with the Defiler still. One Lurker under Darkstorm can't be hit by any mech units. Like this here, that's invincible, right? So just something to keep in mind, that he can buy a lot of time. Ooh, not so sure about this move. Sending those Ultras up. Obviously, you know, the Darkstorm does help here, even with siege tanks out. But yeah, between the defense matrix, ooh, a reasonable plague, but the cost efficiency isn't there. And when you look at how many bases Flash has, it kind of needs to be. So MadYellOw, I feel like he's got another move or two that he can make to try to come back, but Flash is suffocating him pretty bad right now. Trying to take another base, unable to get up there. Yeah, setting up a lot of missile turrets. He definitely knows that one of the main things that might end up happening here are drops. All right, so MadYellOw going to clear some of these siege tanks. Continuing to push up. This is an interesting push location where he's just like, yeah, we're gonna be mega sieged here, so you're never getting up here, and then just kind of leapfrog down a little bit. And of course, he's kept these vessels alive, which are very, very, very important. You know, you sometimes need those irradiates to get those defilers, or maybe a single lurker under Darkstorm, that type of thing. A defense matrix can be very, very useful as well. And by the way, we haven't seen MadYellOw really able to switch into queens. The pressure has been a little bit too high. And that's part of the reason why mech switches sometimes make more sense than straight mech openers. Because you basically can pressure pretty much the whole time. It's kind of fake pressure as you're doing the mech switch, but like you have a lot of units on the map. Whereas regular mech builds, like you kind of are working to a timing attack, which allows that opening to go queens. Because there's like a whole time period where you just simply cannot attack. So Flash continues to move forward and push into here. Man, all right, trying to utilize Burrow to stop this. Of course, Flash, knowing there should be drones here, scans and will start to kill those. Lots of Lings and Ultras being fielded at the moment. Yeah, I don't think there's much left for MadYellOw. He got, like, himself a lot of tools, and right now we see him making Ultra Ling. I think he had to attempt a massive drop somewhere, and obviously that's hard. GG. You know, just to make it clear, right? If Flash was pressuring this side, so in a lot of his unit productions over here with the number of hatcheries he has, And if you try to, let's say you try to load up a bunch of overlords and fly towards the main, that's not going to end up working because he has all these vessels sitting around. Like if he irradiates every overlord, they're not going to make it. So a little bit tough because he's pressuring this side. This side is much more open to it, but you know, to seesaw all of your units from this side over to this side to try to get that going is a little bit tough. So that was a strong mech switch play. It was definitely different from what we've seen from Flash, getting up to like the 4-ish vessels and just sitting there. And the only the 3 racks, the third base super fast. An interesting one. You know, I really do wonder where Flash will end up with these mech switches, right? Because we've seen a couple different versions. The 1 starport, 1 factory, now the 2 starport with just 3 racks. And obviously some of this might be dependent upon what the game looks like as it moves forward. Obviously, like you're kind of bending to what your opponent's doing as well. But really interesting to see. Guys, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.